You can also now watch Packard Pokes At on Atheism TV at youtube.com/atheismtv and, as always, on youtube.com/Packard Pokes At. Come to the live show and chat with us on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Central Time on vonlive.tv/Packard Pokes At. See you there!
Do you really like Packard Pokes At and want to promote the show? Then go to cafepress.com/Packard Pokes At. There are hundreds of items available, including hats, shirts, hoodies, and so much more. Every purchase from cafepress.com/Packard Pokes At helps support the show. Your Packard Pokes At coffee mug is waiting for you.
Do you want to stream Packard Pokes At on your iPhone or BlackBerry? Download Stitcher free today at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
You're on in 3, 2, 1.
This is Packard Pokes At, and I'm poking at your news. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another fine edition of Packard Pokes At. I am your immutable and unmutable host, Packard Sonic, and joining us tonight from the far, far northern coast of the Great Peninsula, which known as Upper Michigan, or Michigan anyway, is Dave. You're damned.
Greetings, Earthlings.
Yes, Michigan sometimes is a whole other planet. I've been there. And joining us from the far west coast is Practical Magic.
Hey there!
All right, well, we'll work on that. Well, tonight we're going to have our short show, so let's get going on that right now.
Building a better future, science and technology.
If you've ever had a heart. No, actually, you probably had a heart.
If I only had a heart.
If I only had a heart. The scientists have been working for a long time to try to build an artificial heart. Back in the early 80s, they came up with an artificial heart. The patient who had it implanted, he lasted, I think, 2-3 days at most, maybe a month. It's been a long time since I actually thought about that. That happened when I was a kid. Now they're reintroducing the heart again, well, a new model of it anyway. But what's interesting about this particular design is they are grafting not the plastic heart right to the muscle tissue of the human. They've actually grafted into cow tissue, at which the cow tissue will be grafted into the human tissue. They've fixed the tissue so this way it doesn't interact with the person or whoever's getting it. It's basically sterile and it's inert, basically, so there will be no medical complications. Personally, I think the reason why they did this, because, I mean, pigs are a little bit closer to us. I mean, as far as some organ transplants that can be done. But I think the reason why they did that is because the pigs' hearts are too compatible, and they may actually cause some kind of chemical imbalance, maybe. I don't know. But at least that's my thoughts on there. Dave, your thoughts?
Yeah, I have no idea why they didn't use pigs.
Neither do I, but I think that's my guess. I mean, we'll get one on the phone. Let's get one on the phone right now and ask him.
Yeah, right. So the reason that my understanding that they are using this sort of this bovine material within the artificial heart is that it helps from clotting problems.
Yes.
In the past, with all the artificial hearts that they've done, they've had a lot of problems with clotting, and this takes away the need for like anticoagulation medication.
Yes, which can be dangerous. Get too much in there, and you just can't. If thing starts bleeding, nothing seals properly.
Right, exactly. Well, I mean, you don't want to get a new heart that is clotting your blood.
Right.
But I mean, the new heart that they're testing it's set for human trials now. They actually have not put it in any humans yet.
Yeah, and it's taking place over in France, if I'm not mistaken.
It is in 4 different countries. I'm trying to figure out where they are. I know one is like Saudi Arabia.
Oh, I'm sorry. My mistake. It says
Belgium, Poland, Saudi Arabia, and Slovenia.
Right, and I'm sorry. In France, it says where the device is not yet cleared for human implantation.
Right,
Regulators.
France is where it's being developed, but it's actually not cleared for human trials yet.
Right, and they've requested for more animal tests. And they said those tests are coming, right? You have anything else you want to add on that?
I just think that it's awesome. I mean, with the shortage of hearts and organs that we have, it's really, I mean, we get about 200,000 different hearts per year, and we have much greater need for them. So this sort of technology is certainly going to be able to save lives in the future.
Absolutely. And since they're hoping that maybe this heart will last up to 5 years or 15. It's been 15 years in development, but they're hoping that maybe it'll last up to 5 years.
Their goal is to have it last 5 years.
Yes.
In 5 years, adding 5 years to a life is something. It's
yeah,
significant.
and the typical wait time on a heart transplant is roughly in that ballpark, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure.
Connie, your thoughts?
As I was doing the research, it says there's between 100 and 150,000 people in the U.S. alone that need a replacement heart, but there are only about 2,000 hearts available every year, and obviously a better transplant is an actual human heart.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, this is really going to be great. It's not going to be ready for Europe anywhere before the end of 2014, and if they can get it approved and going there, then they'll start the trials here in the USA for the hearts. My father had heart disease and circulatory problems, and so yeah, it's an important thing to be solving. And even 5 years, I mean, although the Carmat heart will be costing in and around $200,000.
Yes, yeah.
That was like, oh. But it's still very exciting.
Oh, yes, absolutely. You know, it's interesting that they said the valves that they're using are actually they're using cow tissue for the artificial valves, which they said they use anyway when they use artificial valves alone. It's just it's cow tissue apparently. So it makes you wonder if they'll start avoiding hamburgers at this point because they'll think it might be mom. I don't know. All right. Well, let's get into our next topic for this evening.
Isn't that illegal?
No, it's not.
It's illegal.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Tonight's topic, we're going to be talking about whether it's legal or not. We're going to talk about flashing the headlights. Now, there's a lot of misconception out there that if you go down the road, and there's an old myth that if you flash your headlights, you're going to flash some gang guy because he's left his headlights off. And this started out in the early 80s, that if you left your lights off, then you'd flash your lights at them, and then they would target you, and they'd start following you around. They'd either rape you, or if you're a woman, or kill you as a part of a gang initiation. Some of that is absolutely false. Actually, most of that's actually false. But it is, in some states, legal. In some states, it's not legal. For example, in several states, in Alaska and Arizona, for example, state trooper has probable cause. In Alaska anyway, state trooper has probable cause to stop a driver who flashes his lights on his high beams as upon violation. Arizona, flashing high beams or headlights is a violation. One of the section 28942-1, that's failure to dim the headlights. Funny though, in Florida, they say it's a constitutional right to flash your headlights, which is really odd. I mean, with all the
free speech.
Yeah, with the free speech, yeah, especially with the stuff that's going on in Florida. It's funny. It's so funny that they actually protect this one. And Joe, who's not here tonight because he's in the chat room, he says flashing headlights is not illegal, but requires headlamps that shall be operated so that dazzling lights are not to interfere with the driver of the approaching vehicle. And it went all the way up to the New York Supreme Court on that one. And even in my own home state, flashing headlights is legal. The law allows a vehicle operator to intermittently flash a vehicle's high beam headlights at an oncoming vehicle whose high beam lamps are lit. So this, like, you're coming down a four-way road or a two-way road, and someone's got their high beams on. You flash on. Hopefully they'll use their brain and shut off. Go, oh, my high beams are on, and they'll shut them off. In some cases they don't, in which case that makes them assholes. At least in my opinion, anyway. Dave, your thoughts?
Well, if I were to go back to 1998 and make a terrible movie, I would probably make a movie called Urban Legend. And it would be based off this premise.
Actually, there was a movie by this it was called Urban Legend. Yeah.
Yep, in 1998. It was absolutely terrible.
Yeah. I don't know. I never saw it, but it's based on the novel In the Dark by Mark Billington.
I regret seeing it.
Oh, do you?
But I mean, this is one of those sort of urban legends that it goes along with all the other ones. I mean, as far as the gang initiation thing goes, there's no real evidence to suggest that that's ever occurred.
Right. Although the people in Arizona thought in Florida, in 1998, the sheriff's office in Nassau County, Florida, set a warning warning about such gang initiation, the county fire department, who subsequently spread the facts to all county agencies. Police dispatcher Ann Johnson had thought the message urgent enough to send, but hadn't bothered to check its legitimacy. Yeah, there's a big word.
Exactly, and that was basically what happened. Was that specific sheriff's department had. The dispatcher had received that warning, didn't check with anyone, sent out an urgent thing without actually talking to anyone about it.
Yep.
And it started this whole phenomenon where we now today hear about it all the time.
Yeah.
Now, interestingly, Snopes.com says that there's actually a legitimate start to it where a woman was killed.
Oh, really?
By people who had flashed their headlights, although there's absolutely no evidence that it was gang related. It was probably just a couple of kids.
Oh, or just as they say nowadays, it's called road rage.
Right. That's that sort of thing. I mean, I don't know about the legality here in Michigan, but I do know that if I'm driving and there's a bunch of truckers around, they're flashing their lights back and forth all the time to message whether or not they can pass or whether. I mean, they've got a whole series of things that they're trying to communicate with one another through that sort of thing.
Yeah, so some people equate that with flashing bugs flashing lights at each other because they don't know, if it actually, if you flash the lights, what the hell do they mean? Is it a speeding car, or is it my head beams are on? Is there an accident? What's going on? And we use all those here basically too. I mean, you flash the lights. Hey, there's a cop up ahead, or there's an accident up ahead, or a cop pulled somebody over. You don't know what they're exactly trying to tell you, but sometimes it depends on how many times they flash. Sometimes that helps. Did you have anything else you wanted to add on that?
No.
Okay. Connie, your thoughts?
Oh, well, just when I was researching this, I thought it was interesting that the urban legend, according to Wikipedia, says it originated in Montana, and specifically it was a rumor about the Hells Angels initiation.
Yeah, that's
This was supposed to be how they did that. And then in '84, that spread to Eugene, Oregon, where it morphed into being Latino and black gangs targeting whites, and resurfaced in '93. Spread via fax and email, blamed on Blood Initiation Weekend.
Yep.
And in '94, the other police department in 1993, there was a San Diego police department issuing actual warnings because they mistook it for fake ones. Yeah, and it's really strange. Actually, for myself, flashing your headlights is a really effective way, too, when I want to let a trucker know that they can pull over in front of me. My husband taught me that.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and just flash them, and they know to pull over.
Yeah, and there are some states, unfortunately, that, that no matter what, if you flash your lights...
I live in one.
Oh, do you?
It's a $124 fine.
Yeah. That's bullshit.
In Washington State, so...
Yeah. Yeah, it says here, high beams illegal. Washington prohibits flashing one's high beams within 400 feet of another vehicle for any reason. So, yeah, just be careful which state you're in. In some cases, it's not illegal. In some cases, it is. It's just one of those little myths that's out there floating around that, people just don't know about and they don't have a whole lot of information on. So
there were only about 6 of them that did.
Yeah.
I mean,
so there's a lot of states. It's 6 out of 50. Not bad odds.
No.
So, but, check your local statutes. But there'll be a link at packardpokes@wordpress.com where show all these states. And maybe if your state's one of them, well, then you'll know what you can and can't do. Okay, well, let's get on to our next topic for this evening.
No sex, no drugs, no wine, no women, no fun, no sin, no you, no wonder it's dark.
On tonight's topic, we're going to be talking about death. Well, sort of. We're going to be talking about poisonous death. Now, in the Bible, in Mark 16:18, it says, "They will pick up snakes with their hands, and when they drink deadly poison, it will not hurt them at all. They will place their hands on sick people, and they will get well." Well, of course, that's from the New International Version of the Bible. But really, you think that you can, just because of your belief, you can drink poison? There's been some discussion on this, that this passage might be fake and was added in later on. But the fact that it's there, I like to challenge some Christians on this and say, okay, do you believe you have enough faith, to believe in your God and everything? For you have the best faith or whatever? I would say, if I had some, I'd say, all right, I'm going to give you this bleach. It's poisonous. Drink up. Let's see how well your faith is, and let's see how well they actually believe. You know, and if I don't have any poisonous snakes, but if I get, I might get a little rubber one and keep it in my pocket and say, "Here's a poisonous snake," you know. So we're gonna get ready to we're gonna start the timer here, and Connie, you're gonna go first, and there's the timer, and your timer starts now.
Well, first thing I have to say about this is it is corroborated by another section in Luke 10:18 through 19, where Jesus is talking to a bunch of disciples. Evidently, he had like 70, and he says he has given them power over serpents and scorpions. Mm-hmm. And some places try to say that's an analogy of demons. But what I don't understand is this: how they can say, well, this section of the Bible is or is not included.
Right.
And I don't see, well, first of all, and I guess I don't see why this should be a proof of anything, of God. And I don't know why the Bible, if it's an inspired word of God, why this is still included.
Right.
When people were, when they were putting together the Bible as we know it today, why did they include it?
Right.
So, no, it's not a perfect document.
Oh,
and for
no,
myself,
no,
that's like,
yeah, definitely not.
So, no, I don't even see why that's in there. And honestly, if that is proof, then I'm sure there must have been Christians down through the years who've been poisoned or who've been bitten by snakes and died.
Oh, yeah, actually,
did they not have enough faith?
Yeah,
So.
There's actually not too long ago, as I think it was last year, there was a guy he was a Pentecostal preacher, and he got bit by a rattlesnake that he was handling. Claimed he'd been bitten several other times before. So what they did was, you need to lay down. They let him lay down, and then he wasn't getting any better. They were praying over him, and by the time they finally called an ambulance, he basically had died. And the ironic thing about that is, his father, who was also a preacher, a Pentecostal preacher, had died exactly the same way. Irony, you know. I should have gone out and given him his Darwin Award right away. So, I mean, don't be handling snakes, people. You know, you're not gonna. I don't care what you believe. I saw this great video of what rattler venom does to human blood. It basically turns it into Jello. It's really interesting, but I mean, it's scary as hell too. Dave, your thoughts?
Yeah, so this is absolutely the consensus of biblical scholars is that it's a form of interpolation, mm-hmm. and it is a forgery. They believe that it was probably added to the Bible around the 2nd century. Mm-hmm. The first time, the earliest actual physical manuscript of a Bible that includes the verse is from the 4th century.
Right.
But Justin Martyr had actually referenced it earlier, so we know that at least it was around earlier. We just don't know all of the facts surrounding it.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting passage because you're able to ask someone, well, you know, do you believe that you could drink poison? Mm-hmm. And they can either say, well, yes or no, or they could call you out and say, well, that's a forgery and it's never meant to be that way. And then you can point out the fact that their doctrine is absolutely imperfect.
There's not forgeries in the Bible. Come on now.
Of course not. And if there's one that's known, there's probably other ones that aren't known.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Reasonable to assume.
Yes. Go on. More.
More.
Go on. More.
Give me more.
Give me more.
Yeah. So they really don't know what happened because it appears that the author of Mark kind of stopped at 16:8.
Really.
And that everything 9 through 20 is all interpolation.
Really?
So they think that maybe the codex lost a page at the end and mm-hmm. someone was trying to fill it in.
Oh.
And that he actually had written more.
Basically this edition is just it's not, well, it may be a forgery obviously, but I mean,
well, it's clearly a forgery and scholars all have a consensus that it is. However, what the real question is did Mark, or the author of Mark rather, stop there and just have a really crappy ending? Because that's the
And then Jesus went out for pizza and he took a nap.
that's the end of the book of Mark right there.
Yeah. You know,
so either he really sucked at writing endings, or he did write more, and it was just lost and never included. And
or it was just really crappy, and someone said, this is shit. Let's take it out and put something else in. It makes it sound, more spooky wooky.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it certainly seems, as Practical Magic had pointed out, that is corroborated through other parts of the Bible. So someone could very easily have sat down and said, well, I'm just going to kind of look through the rest of it and add some stuff in for filler, and here we go.
Yeah, there you go. And the thing is, though, most of the people I've talked to that I know are Christian, out in the the real world, they've never read their Bible. So either that, or they just don't study it, like the way we do exactly, and or many atheists will study the Bible for that matter. So they'll just go, oh yeah, well it says that in there, and then they'll actually believe it. And I personally, I want to put them to the test. And it's like, hey, come on, here's the poison. Let's see ya. But and if they actually started to reach out for it, I'd say, no, what the hell are you doing? Are you crazy? Unless they, but I real quick question, because in our last minute here, if you actually handed someone poison because they believed it, that they could drink it and they wouldn't be killed, do you think that you'd be culpable for their death or contributing to their death?
Oh.
Yes or no?
I don't know how to answer that. They're pretty gullible if they're going to drink the poison.
Yes. Well, I think so anyway. I think a lot of...
unless they've spent the last several years developing a tolerance to iodine powder, but...
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I remember hearing about some king who had he had taken small doses of poison every day, and because his wife was always trying to poison him, so he actually built up a tolerance to many of the poisons she was trying to murder him with. So, but that was many years ago. Anyway, that's our time. This is a good discussion. People out there, if you're going to drink poison, make it alcohol, because, that's the best poison out there. And you know what? You'll actually live. So
most of the time.
Yeah. Well, just don't overdo it. So when they say pick your poison, don't pick arsenic, because you're going to survive that. Okay, let's get on to our next topic for this evening.
Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars, let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars.
Tonight's Did You Know They Were an Atheist? Is Gene Wilder. Gene Wilder is, it says here, it came from the book of, in the Book of Stars of David. Prominent Jews talk about being Jewish by Abigail Progbin. Wilder states, well, I'm a Jewish Buddhist atheist, I guess. And he says he was Jewish in descent and a godless Buddhist. So, and that's in a book that came out in 2005. He's in a lot of movies. I think he's very funny. Some of his better work, I think, is like the one where he's in prison with what's that guy's name? Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor.
Thank you, Richard Pryor.
Stir Crazy.
Yeah,
yes.
That was a good one. He's keeping everybody off center in the whole movie, and Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein and a myriad of other videos out there that he's been in. I can't name them all, but he is a very, very funny man, and the fact that he's an atheist on top of it, I think that's pretty cool. Dave, your thoughts?
I love condescending Wonka memes.
Oh yes, the condescending Wonka names, yeah, and
they're absolutely brilliant. And,
yes,
and the fact that it's Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka, just brilliant.
Yes.
So that's my thought. No, no, I mean he was also interviewed on Inside the Actors Studio in 1998, and he was asked basically if he could describe what heaven is, and his response was, well, I don't know if heaven exists, and then immediately added that he thinks of his everyday life as heaven, which I think is a nice sentimental thought.
Yes,
coming from a very, very funny man. Yeah, I mean that's about my thoughts on Gene Wilder being an atheist. I mean he was basically a secular Buddhist
Yeah.
And he was Jewish by his nationality, but
Right.
you can be both Jewish as a nationality and be an atheist.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people who are Jewish. They say they're atheists too.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
I mean that's actually fairly common. So I'm an atheist, but I'm Jewish. And it's like I'm a Jewish atheist. I was like, oh,
Right.
okay, that's cool. Because they use the Jewish part to be a cultural definition of who they were and are. Basically, it's like saying I'm Caucasian or Asian or whatever. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, Connie, your thoughts?
I absolutely love Gene Wilder. First time I ever saw him in anything that I knew about, I saw him in Young Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
And I later went back and watched Blazing Saddles when I was a little bit older. But he's just so funny. Actually, I like Johnny Depp as Willy Wonka, but I prefer Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka. I didn't like anything really. The kid they had playing Charlie.
He was a bit of a snot.
One of my favorite parts of his story, he became interested in acting at the age of 8, and that was when his mother had developed rheumatic fever, and the doctor told Gene to make her laugh.
Really?
Then he wasn't Gene Wilder yet. He was Jerome Siberman, but
and he's from Wisconsin, like you.
Really? Well, that I did not know. I didn't see that on there.
Oh, and he fences.
He does?
One of the things he
Well,
learned.
I got a hot watch here I need done. No, I'm just
Touche.
Wrong kind of fencing.
Very thoughtful man. I was really impressed just reading this biography of him on Wikipedia, and made me want to go out and get a book about him and watch more about him.
My favorite part of Young Frankenstein is that when they're out trying to get the body, and he's out there with Igor. He's like, how could this get any worse? Or this could get any worse? And he goes, how? It could be raining. So
that was a perfect movie. I loved that movie.
That was. The timing on it was excellent, It
was his idea, too.
Was it? I didn't know that.
He was the original script writer. He tried to get Mel Brooks to get in on it, and eventually Mel Brooks did. But, yeah, it was his idea.
Yeah, and I'm glad that Mel Brooks said took a chance on it.
Yeah,
and produced it. Yes, it was a brilliant movie. If you've not seen Young Frankenstein, you are missing out. So go out and go rent it, or download it or watch it on Netflix or something. So, but anyway, we need to get going. I want to thank everybody for coming. And if you want to get in contact with us, we're going to tell you how to do that right now.
Would you like to contact us? Your host, Packard Sonic, and his very honored and crazy co-host, with occasional guest hosts, enjoy your comments or suggestions. You can reach us 28 hours a day, 8 days a week on A Can on a String, Smoke Signals, Star Trek Communicator? Those may not work, but you can contact us on Twitter as Packard Pokes At, and by email at packardpokesat@gmail.com. You can also listen and join in the conversation live Friday nights at 9 p.m. Central Time on vaughnlive.tv/PackardPokesAt. You can find past shows on iTunes, YouTube, Mixler Radio, and Stitcher Radio. Help us out by rating, commenting, subscribing, retweeting, and reposting the show wherever you can. Click the like button on Facebook/PackardPokesAt to join in the conversation. Would you like to help keep the show running and pick up some awesome Packard Pokes At merchandise? Visit cafepress.com/PackardPokesAt today and buy hats, shirts, or one of over 300 other items that are also available. Visit packardpokesat.wordpress.com for links to the news articles covered tonight and more information on this or other episodes. We hope you enjoy the show. Thanks for listening and your support.
And that's a wonderful job that Joe did there, doesn't he? If he's talking any faster, I have to put a safety belt on my chair. But no, that was actually quite good. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming. Also, before I forget, and I've been forgetting to talk about this for the last 2 or 3 shows, go to facebook.com/PackardPokesAt. Go to your local church, synagogue, or whatever, and give them the bird. And take a picture of your hand giving a religious symbol or the church or, whatever it is, the bird. Go to facebook.com/PackardPokesAt. We got a little photograph starting right there. So go and take pictures of that stuff and post it up there. We're going to see how many pictures we can get. So I want to thank everybody for coming and joining to this for our short show tonight. And we'll be back again next week with a longer show. For now, this has been Packard Pokes At. We just poked at your news.
And that's a wrap.